Architects create masterpieces around the world that inspire and intrigue. From works of amazing artistry, feats of electrifying engineering, and even practical paradises. But between projects they like to apply their thinking to other disciplines, furniture, product, and even fashion design. But what I find most interesting is when they apply their architectural thinking to cars. A car to them offers up a discordance of problems and inefficiencies crying out to be solved. A huge opportunity to take something at its core mundane and functional, apply their thinking, and come up with a masterpiece that solves the issue of personal transportation. So today we are going to look at some fascinating examples of when architects design cars. To me, the most fascinating and extreme example of an architect designing a car would be Buckminster Fuller's Dymaxion car. Buckminster Fuller, a truly fascinating man, best known for inventing the geodesic dome, or buckyball as it's sometimes called. He took on the idea of personal transportation and came up with his revolutionary Dymaxion car, Dymaxion being a combination of the words dynamic, maximum and tension. It was a complete rethinking of what a car could be, what it could offer, how it could be used, and comparing it to what was on the market at the time, quite the stratospheric leap forward in aesthetics. Fuller aimed for omni-medium transport, a vehicle that could go anywhere. With its unique front-wheel drive, mid-engined, and rear-wheel steering setup, the Dimaxion had fantastic low-speed maneuverability. However, at high speed was unintuitive and required a very steady hand. Everything about the car was designed from a complete blank canvas. Apart from the internal combustion engine, it shared nothing with a traditional car of the time. Even its suspension was mounted sideways. The car debuted at the World's Fair in 1933. With its futuristic bullet-like aerodynamic design, aluminium bodywork, 126 mph cruising speed, 38 mpg economy, seating for 11 and nimble handling, it drew and wowed the crowds that included Henry Ford and Walter Chrysler, showing the big car manufacturers and more importantly their customers what could be possible. Tragically, the car was involved in an accident during a test drive at the Chicago County of Progress World Fair, where the driver was fatally injured. The incident is shrouded in controversy and has sparked many conspiracy theories, including direct sabotage by the automotive powerhouses of the time, worried that Fuller was going to put them out of business. Though only 3 prototypes were ever constructed, with its radical concept and design, the Dymaxion car went on to be revolutionary in the automotive world, and showed other designers you could break with tradition and push the boundaries. To this end, the Dymaxion car was included in the 2009 book, 50 Cars That Changed the World. Whereas Buckminster's creation was designed to be utilitarian and solve many of the everyday problems drivers face, our next example was designed for one thing and one thing only: speed. In 1955, polymath architect Carlo Mellino had been hired by racing driver Mario Bellini to redesign his personal apartment. The two, being car-obsessed, soon got chatting, and after Mellino had explained and sketched over an image of one of Bellini's racing cars with an idea for a revolutionary aerodynamic body, that would not cover a racing car chassis, but instead would flip the typical approach and the chassis would be constructed to conform to the streamlined bodywork. They decided to embark on a journey to build the ultimate race car and enter it in the world-famous Le Mans 24-hour race. Together, along with world-famous engineer Enrico Nardi, they would design and build one of the most unique and striking cars in automotive history, the Damolnar 750 Bisiluro. Mellino was fascinated with aerodynamics and had come up with the idea to invert an aeroplane's wing. If a wing can create lift, inverting it would push the race car into the track, allowing it to cut through the air and speed round corners without losing grip. Something today widely realised, but at the time unheard of. The final design was a totally asymmetrical car. In order to maximise the surface area of the central wing, Mellino designed a very unique shape for the Bisiluro, giving a twin torpedo layout. Bisiluro in Italian meaning torpedo. The design consisted of 2 nacelles, one for the driver and long-distance fuel tank and the other for the engine and gearbox. They were joined across the middle with the wing that cleverly incorporated the cooling system by a series of brass pipes blended seamlessly into the aerodynamic design. In terms of construction, the chassis was built using a tubular steel frame and then clad in aluminium with a thickness of less than 1 mm. Due to this, the entire car only weighed 700 kilos. This light frame, twinned with its aerodynamic bodywork and 750cc engine that produced 70 brake horsepower, created a fast and agile car that surprised its creators, surpassing all of their expectations. Arriving at the 1955 Le Mans race, many heads were turned by its looks, and even more so during practice sessions. when the car showed exceptional performance, beating all competitors in its 750cc class, as well as even some cars of greater capacity. Unfortunately, just over an hour and a half into the race, the Bisiluro with Monte at the wheel was passed at high speed by a Jaguar. Legend has it that the Jaguar passing at such high speed sucked all the air out from under the Bisiluro, causing the car to instantly lose grip and spin off the road, landing in the canal. Miraculously, Monte walked away unharmed. The Bisiluro's outing at Le Mans in 1955 was tragically overshadowed by the crash of Pierre Levert, whose Mercedes was thrown into the spectator area during a high-speed crash, killing 80 and injuring a further 150. Despite its failures, Molino was far ahead of his time, creating a car with such great attention to aerodynamics that it would not be until 20 years later that F1 car designers would begin utilizing downforce techniques such as ground effect and inverted wings into their creations. Sticking with Italian architects, in 1972, Milan-based architect Mario Bellini created this outrageous concept that he dubbed the Kar-a-sutra. Creating it in collaboration with Citroën and Pirelli, Bellini created arguably the original concept car, a car created not as a marketable product, but a vehicle for conversation, something that might spark change or showcase a new design philosophy for the manufacturer. Bellini felt that the way society approached transport needed radical change, particularly the role car ownership played in the language of social hierarchy and the overall dominance of the car in urban centres, along with humanity's reliance on the vehicle for transport. This led Bellini to imagine something completely different. Interestingly, this idea of a concept car is something ubiquitous with modern manufacturers, who have picked up this idea and run with it. At the Geneva Motor Show, every manufacturer's stand will have at least one concept car amongst its real-world offering, tantalising people with what fascinating and amazing designs might just be around the corner. Bellini's design was striking, characterised by its bold childlike lines, large panoramic windows and unique open-plan carriage. The Kar-a-sutra was designed so that the driver and passengers could observe and engage with the world around them, rather than as Bellini saw it being separated from it. The plush, soft, comfortable interior was designed to be modular. It could easily be picked up and reimagined, offering the user a multitude of different uses depending on their needs that day. One day it could be configured for a family outing, maximising seat space, and the next removing the interior to help a friend shift a piano. How the car was to be used was entirely up to the individual user. This concept would give the owner unprecedented control over their vehicle and make each one as unique as they are. Accompanied by an equally unique photo shoot, the marketing material was as striking as its design, assuring it made waves in the automotive industry and garnered the desired attention for the attached brands. Bellini's insight into the future of the automotive industry is becoming for the most part very accurate. With a world of autonomous cars on the horizon, manufacturers are looking for new ways to transform the car as we know it into what is now considered the third space. A mobile base that exists in addition to home and work, acting as a personal bridge between our various sites of habitation. Bellini noted that although this exact model never hit the road, it is surely the inspiration for the modern multi-purpose vehicle or MPV, with Citroën's competitor Renault coming up with the Espace in 1984 that holds a remarkable likeness to Bellini's original design. Since the Kar-a-sutra debuted in 1972, the way of using cars has evolved a lot. Fun and freedom lay at the heart of the Kar-a-sutra, all elements essential to the design philosophy of today's vehicles. For a more modern example, legendary Pritzker Prize winning architect Zaha Hadid turned her ample talent to automotive design and came up with the Z-Car. The brief set for her was to produce an environmentally conscious vehicle without harking back to historical forms. The result was a completely original and clean design, something synonymous with Hadid's work. This compact car was designed for the city of the future, with 3 wheels and a fighter jet style opening canopy. It would certainly turn heads when zipping around city streets, nipping in and out of traffic. Hadid's car would seat 2 passengers and be powered by a hydrogen fuel cell, creating 0 emissions. Interestingly, although clearly a concept, the Z-Car was taken further and followed up by the Z-Car 2. Clearly a more contemporary design and traditional layout, it has mass market appeal. Albeit less striking, but with gull-wing doors and lithium-ion batteries, the essence of Hadid's original remains. Could this have been a genuine attempt to enter the automotive market and bring the concept to life? And lastly on our list, we have another more modern design that comes from French architect Jean-Marie Massaud, who collaborated directly with Toyota to create an anti-crisis concept car. Massaud was set the task by Toyota to create a car that tackles current economical and environmental issues. Massaud created the Me.We concept. its name expressing coinciding concern for personal well-being, me, and that of others, we. Massaud did this primarily by using cheap and lightweight materials designed to keep the cost and weight at a minimum, lowering both the vehicle's energy consumption and carbon footprint during manufacture and whilst on the road. Its ingenious design featured a tubular aluminium structure that supports recyclable hard-wearing polypropylene body panels. These panels can also be easily customized with different textures, patterns and colors by the owner, allowing for a high level of customization. Strips of bamboo would wrap around the dashboard and extend out to form the bonnet. Bamboo would also be used to cover the remaining horizontal surfaces, including the floor and roof. Even with the environment at its core, Massaud also focused on the user experience. The Me.We is a true multi-purpose vehicle. It is a pickup, convertible, off-roader and small city car all in one. The rear bench can fold down and tuck under the front seats when not needed. Luggage can be stored on the roof under a convenient fold-out neoprene cover to free up space inside. Alternatively, the boot could fold out to make room for larger goods. And with its pillarless suicide doors, occupants can get in and out of the vehicle with ease. To power the car, it has 4 in-wheel electric motors, meaning it can operate in 2 or 4-wheel drive, allowing it to tackle rougher terrain than a traditional car, but without the weight penalty of a 4x4 transmission system. Internally, a simple screen above the steering wheel would display vehicle speed and battery charge. The user would then mount their own smartphone below the screen, using it for directional information and to control the music and vehicle temperature. Again, reducing the need for unnecessary materials to be used when we already have screens in our pockets. Although only a concept designed to raise awareness, in the last few years and in the coming decades, all manufacturers will pivot towards this same design philosophy of sustainability and reducing their carbon footprint, all reflecting the concept derived by Massaud in his design. It is always fascinating when someone steps outside of their field of expertise and tries something new. They approach the field with a breath of fresh air, blowing away the constraints and rules a lifetime of indoctrination to a discipline can create, helping to innovate and push design forward within that field. However, as the results show, some of these rules and constraints are the reason cars make it off the drawing board and onto people's driveways. Thanks for watching this episode of Behind Designs.